Why isn't getting an IUD so painful, scary, no drugs offered? I have no fucking idea, but it's probably because this country doesn't care about women's health.
And that's fucking that. You're listening to the Pelvic Freak Show
with your hosts, Amanda Neary and Hannah Meyer.
Hey, Pelvic Freaks. Welcome back to another episode of the Pelvic Freak Show.
where you're freaks for us and we're freaks for your pelvis, baby.
I just moved my camera around a lot.
It's so weird being with you on Riverside right now.
Yeah, this is camping edition because I'm actively camping right now. Actually, I'm glamping, so I don't
Amanda's wearing a beanie. Amanda's wearing a beanie. She's camping. I just got new bangs and I'm in the city and I have a beautiful view of the Chicago River right now.
This is a first for us, recording virtually just with us two.
Let me just say, if you tell people you are getting bangs, the reaction will be stronger than if you tell them you are getting pregnant or if you just went through a breakup.
Well, I think they assume that you have like a major mental health crisis.
Right? And I'm like, no, girl, I just look good in bangs. What?
Is that what happened to you?
Well, am I in a major mental health crisis? One, if you're not experiencing major mental health concerns with the state of the world right now, then maybe you actually have the mental health crisis.
Yeah, maybe you need bangs.
And that's a bar.
That was a bar. Good job.
Right? Thank you. Yeah, then maybe, honestly, we should all have bangs at this point.
Yeah, I don't think I should personally. I did it once in high school. I have to show you an old picture and you can tell me.
I think you should just do it. But also, the reason why I'm saying I think we should all have bangs at this point is to just show the mental distress in the world. We're going to look back on this time of the world and when we're grown and be like, look, everyone had bangs. Everyone was going through it.
When we're grown is sending me.
Because in my head, I'm still like 20 years old.
In your head, you're a teenager getting bangs for the first time.
Well, I think even my hairstylist was worried. She was like, yeah, I'm going to give you bangs, but she's like cutting them. I'm like, girl, I want them short. I want them thick. And she's like, well, like, we'll just start off like this, see if you like it. Like, I think she wasn't, she's been through this before, but I'm like, no, listen, I've had purple hair. I've had pink hair. I've been platinum blonde for 10 years. I've had it all. I am not scared of changing my hair up and feeling like I made a mistake. I just work with it.
Mm-hmm.
But, she doesn't know me like that, so it's fine.
Yeah, you sent me a pic and I was like, whoa, you literally just turned into Mandy Moore.
That's what I get. I get that sometimes.
Especially, like, I just watched A Walk to Remember for my book club, and you look like young Mandy Moore with your bangs.
That's awesome. I love that. Wasn't she in that one really depressing show?
That's A Walk to Remember.
No.
You're thinking of This Is Us.
Yeah, that's it.
She is in that.
This Is Us. Yeah, the show I cannot watch. I'm not emotionally stable enough for that.
I did it once. I don't think I'll do it again.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, why are you camping? Why are you camping?
I'm camping. I think I mentioned before to the freaks, my sister owns like a reading retreat business, and I've gone on a few of the retreats, and I'm hosting this one, and it's for the Throne of Glass series, and it's in Yosemite. So we have Airstreams, and there's like a little like picnic area that we have, and then they have like one of the rooms up there at their like building too. So it's definitely glamping. But it's just a weekend of like talking about the books, hanging out, girly pop time, and it's really fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love girly pop time. Yeah, you guys look like a bunch of fairies.
Yeah, like any excuse for me to come to California and like visit my college friends too and go to beautiful places is always fun.
And then you're seeing Chapel Roan.
I'm seeing Chapel next week in LA. So after this, I'm going to drive back to LA. I told Ayla, my like best friend from college, I was like, oh, I'm sad I'm not seeing Chapel on this tour. And she's like, well, you could take Jordan's ticket. Jordan's her husband. And I was like, oh, yeah, why would a man be going to Chapel Roan anyway?
Yeah.
So I took that shit so fast.
Wait, that's awesome.
And it's mermaid themed.
It's actually crazy how the world just works out sometimes.
Yeah, it just works out for us.
Well, guys, it's been a long time since we've done a Q&A. We've been busy little bees buzzing around lately. Planning things, planning episodes, and we've just skipped over our story times and Q&As, which we know you guys like. So we're hitting you with a Q&A today with some questions we've built up. We didn't get to do all the questions today. We picked our favorite ones that we think this episode will thrive upon. So other questions will be answered maybe as like individual episodes, because some of them we were like, we could make that into an entire episode. So don't get discouraged if you don't hear your question today. What are you giggling about?
We picked our favorite questions that we think this episode will thrive upon.
I swear, some of the things, like, I feel like I just talk and it doesn't actually make sense, but I just start spewing words out to where people think it makes sense.
Well, the funny thing is it does make sense by context clues, but the actual sentence is not a real sentence.
Yeah. So like people get it and they're like, oh yeah, they don't, if they're like normal people, then like they'll be like, okay, whatever, like let's move on. I'm not going to like address the situation. But if it's like you'll be like, what the fuck are you saying?
Well, I'm just giggling about it because it's funny.
All right.
But I do it too.
Well,
All right, should we hit him with a question?
we're going to hit him with a longer question from the start.
All right. Am I doing it?
Yeah, I just assumed you were going to do it.
Okay, I'll read it. Hi, with 5 eyes. Question for y'all. For the past 2 years, I haven't been able to orgasm the way I used to. I build up to the plateau phase, if we're going to be scientific, hee hee. And I think wait, what's PC?
Pelvic floor. Maybe.
Pelvic floor.
Maybe it was
Okay.
supposed to be pelvic floor, PF.
PF. And then my pelvic floor muscle, and I think my pelvic floor muscle contracts, and that's the peak of my pleasure. No rhythmic contraction like I used to experience. It's gotten to the point where I don't even enjoy sex anymore. How can I fix this, and what professional should I see for this? Would pelvic floor PT help, or do you think a sex therapist or someone else would be better? Thanks. Love the pod as always. All right. Where do we want to start with this one?
The only other muscle I think she could be talking about would be the pubococcygeus muscle, but I don't think that they're getting that specific.
That would be, I would say we're overanalyzing the.
I think it was an autocorrect.
Yeah, that sounds more right to me.
Okay.
If they
Fair.
did mean pubococcygeus, I think let's take it down a peg and actually just talk about the pelvic floor as a whole.
I agree. But if you were talking pubococcygeus, cheers to you for anatomy.
Heck yeah. For this person, because it sounds like it's happened gradually over time, we don't have the context of like partners, if this is self-pleasure, if this is a long-term relationship. So we don't have that context, which is where we're usually going to point to sex therapy if it's like more of an emotional place, coming from an emotional place, or it feels like there's like a stagnant part of their sex life that they want to work through. From a pelvic floor standpoint, reading this, it sounds like this person could have some generalized dysfunction, whether that comes from tension or something else. So my inclination is to say, like, yes, like pelvic floor therapy definitely wouldn't hurt if you have access to an assessment. Because sometimes what happens is if you're building up tension over time, your pelvic floor just can't contract as much during an orgasm, which it sounds like this person listened to our I've Never Had an Orgasm episode, because they like referenced the plateau phase and then did the hee-hee. But that would be a good place to start too, if you haven't, just to like hear about why we emphasize like orgasms in pelvic floor therapy and what we're working on with that. But yeah, that's where my head goes. And I would love context of like any other symptoms. This is why our evaluation is an hour long when we see patients in pelvic floor, because we need to ask about like your bowel, bladder, like all of that gives us information on what might be going on in the pelvic floor. But just from this question alone, I would think, yes, pelvic floor PT.
Yeah, my interpretation of this question pretty much sums up as, okay, before I was having strong rhythmic contraction orgasms that felt better, Now I'm kind of having these like small, I'm still having like an orgasm maybe, but it doesn't feel like my typical orgasm. So I don't really know. That's kind of how I'm interpreting it. Pretty much your orgasm has diminished is what I'm seeing, and gotten to the point where I don't even enjoy sex anymore. So one thing I'll say too, one, pelvic floor PT definitely can help with strength of orgasm if there is some type of muscular dysfunction. So like Amanda said, going to see a pelvic floor PT would be great for that. Another thing I'll say with like mindset around sex that we talk about a lot is that sex and pleasure doesn't always have to mean orgasm. So if it's like finding new ways to enjoy sex, I don't, like I said, we don't know much more about this person's sex life, obviously, but shifting the focus around sex could be a good thing, which sex therapists will help a lot with. And because if you're thinking, oh, my orgasms aren't strong anymore, so like I don't want to have sex anymore, obviously that is a super frustrating topic, which we'll try to address with you with pelvic floor PT. And a lot of the orgasm is mental. So also with sex therapy, both are going to be good options. But I think that just pelvic floor PT alone might not be the answer. Both would be what I would go for.
Yeah, and that's pretty common for us with like anyone with sexual dysfunction. It's very rarely going to be come see us and we're the only person you need, right?
Yeah.
So we always have like, we just have to figure out what the combined treatment is that will work best for that case.
Oh yeah. It's
But
hard
yeah.
though. If it's hard though, like if you're, it's sometimes feel, I'm not saying this person might feel like this, but it's like, if you can't have an orgasm, it almost feels like you're broken in a sense. And it's like, why am I going to keep trying this if I can't get to the point that I want to reach? And over again, it's really frustrating. So I understand the frustration, and we're here for you to help you, because having an orgasm is something that everyone deserves. Having good, strong orgasms.
Yes. And the other thing I didn't mention, because I mentioned like pelvic floor tension, it could be a weakness issue too. It could be both, but sometimes tension will weaken the pelvic floor. So since it is a contraction, we do want to focus on strengthening those muscles too. So if there is like any weakness in the pelvic floor, that's something we would work on in PT as well.
Yeah. Hope that helps with your question. Hope that gives you like a nice little scathe of the surface.
If you have any follow-ups based on that answer, shoot us another message and we'll continue on our next Q&A.
If you need help finding a pelvic floor PT though, I would go to pelvicrehab.com. You can find practitioners that have literally just added themselves there, and they're specialized pelvic floor PTs, and you can search based on your area, and then you can see which, you can make a little list and then see who takes your insurance, whether you want to do insurance or if you want to do self-pay. But that's where I find a lot of really good pelvic rehab providers when I have family members around the States. And I'm like, I want to help you, but all I can do is pretty much give you this right now, which is baseline, like this could be what's happening and this is what I recommend, but you need a one-on-one individualized assessment. But I unfortunately am not in Tennessee right now. So I usually tell people to go to pelvicrehab.com, and I've had good results. I tell patients that when they move to a different city too, because sadly I don't know every pelvic floor PT.
Oh, you don't? That's crazy.
I should. We will one day. One day we're going to be leading some type of conference, and we're all going to meet in one place.
All right. Next question.
Okay. So the next one is an anonymous message that we received. Wow, the way I said anonymous. Anyways. So basically, my friend has an issue with squirting and orgasms whenever she's having sex. In parentheses, solo, with her partner, whatever, close parentheses. As in, she will squirt first and then it prevents her from getting to an orgasm. And she's sort of frustrated by it and can't find any information on why she can't orgasm post-squirt. Thank you in advance from the friend who will always be known as Squirtle. I don't know why I said always. I threw always in there. She didn't say it.
Who will always be
Thank you in advance from the friend who will be known as Squirtle, just in this situation, not always.
Not always.
One, sort of frustrated. I get why you're sort of frustrated by it. Similar to the last question, it's frustrating when you can't reach a strong orgasm, and this is happening consistently over time, and it's gonna affect your mental more and more over time if it consistently happens.
Yeah, I actually love this question because in our squirting episode, we didn't really talk about this. So now we have another opportunity to talk about squirting. Hannah and I actually did a little digging on this one because in our episode, we did mention like squirting and orgasm are different mechanisms, but in my brain, the body is ejaculating during squirting, so that is a similar mechanism to an orgasm. So in my head there's like a refractory period that's needed, and so we looked this up and looked into it a little bit more, and that basically is what's happening, because of also the similar hormonal cascade that the body experiences during climax. So my big takeaway would be, what is your refractory period? Like when you do have an orgasm, how long does it take for you to want to have another one? It might be a similar amount of time after squirting, which might, not be what you want to hear, but could actually make like sex more fun if you know that going into it. Like, okay, I want to get to this like point where I squirt and then maybe focus on something else and like spend a little bit more time and almost treat that as foreplay again, and then get back into it and then focus on that climax again, if that is your goal. So it might just shift how you're thinking about sex rather than like squirting is ramping up to orgasm. It might be like a little peak and then you need to dip down and then go back up to another peak.
Think about them almost as both as orgasms, although the squirting is not the orgasm. Your body is interpreting as a climax moment. So you need a little break to maybe have your actual like orgasm where you really like feel that like oxytocin and that good response. So that's how I would think of it, if that helps. Think of it as a mini orgasm leading up to your real orgasm. So not stopping and giving up, but maybe resorting to like some lighter touching, not like direct like clitoral stimulation or penetration, but building up again in a way that feels good and not overwhelming and super sensitive. If your body is still in that refractory period and needs to relax, and it's switched into relax mode, we need to get it back into turned on mode. So,
and it's maybe a time where like if you're squirting during penetration, maybe you switch to something else for a little bit and then go back to penetration if that's how you want to have an orgasm, or how that's historically how you orgasm. And same if it's like clitoral stimulation, you might just want to switch up the stimulus a little bit. So just depending on what this person likes and how they want it to happen too. I hope that's helpful. I mean, that's as much as we really know about it.
Yeah. Try different ways to have an orgasm. I think the best way to practice this is by yourself. Squirt how you squirt, and then try to beat that refractory phase somehow. Build it back up. What?
Try to beat it out after that.
beat that refractory phase down. Try a different position. Try, if you're like squirting in one position consistently, try getting like hands and knees with like a vibrator or something that you don't usually do. See what happens. Experiment. Get crazy with it.
Get nasty with it.
That's what I'm going to say to that.
Okay, so
beat out that refractory period. You got it. Keep pushing through.
All right, next question. I will read this one. I've always been curious about what brings men into pelvic floor therapy. I have some men in my life who have heard me speak about how pelvic floor PT helps with my GI flares. Flares. Give that flare a little flare. They're so interested in exploring pelvic health for themselves, but they seem timid about discussing it since most pelvic PTs in our area are women. These interested men have things like Crohn's or IBS. I'll start with definitely they can see pelvic floor PT for that. We are actually, well, Hannah, you want to tell them what's coming up?
Sure, Amanda. I'll tell them. We are actually going to have a guest on soon to talk more specifically about male pelvic health. And spoiler alert, it's a male pelvic floor PT, which we've been wanting on this podcast for so freaking long. So buckle up, freaks. So we'll talk more about this specific question in that episode and maybe bring up this question again. So stay tuned. That's coming soon.
But in the meantime, we do have an episode about male pelvic health already called what? Your boyfriend probably needs pelvic floor PT?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we talk about a lot of things that bring men to pelvic floor PT and what we treat. So if you need something in the meantime, I would definitely reference that episode because that is what it is all about.
Okay. Next question. What's a good replacement for Lilo Mona 2 that's not $1 million? So if you guys don't know the Lilo company, that is another sex toy company that we really like. I'm looking up their link, Lilo.com. So it's more of, in my opinion, kind of like luxury products. They're usually a little bit more expensive, but people really, really like these products. So if you haven't checked out Lilo, you should check it out. But also not sponsored. But the Lilo Mona 2 is typically $150, and what it is a G-spot vibrator. So you actually do insert this vibrator internally, and then it's vibrating stimulating the G-spot versus like a clitoral vibrator, like the Satisfier Pro 2 from Beleza. But another option, I would say, I did some research onto this. Beleza does have a similar one, and I did like a side-by-side comparison, and they're very similar, although I haven't tried either of these toys out. It's called the Whisper Vibe. It's $79 right now. It has 5 different modes instead of 6, which who really fucking cares about the modes on the vibrator? Like the one that's like, zzz, 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 zzz. If you're using that, you're crazy. You're crazy. I mean, I don't judge.
You're mode shaming them.
No, I'm not. But I literally only ever use one mode. Are you using more than one
I
mode?
turn it up to the highest of the straight vibrator mode, and then that's the one I'm on. Which I'm like, just don't even give me the lower options. Why would I want that? But
I'm
I
like
get
a
why
3-speed girl. That. There's one that's like, zzz, 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 and I'm like,
you know what?
Hell.
I'm not even gonna lie. I've used it before.
I think I have too, because I'm obviously going to experiment with it, but I'm just like,
sometimes you come too quick with the ones that are just like, zzz, so
that's fair.
They can be like, zzz, 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 zzz. It's like a little bit of like a vibe, you know?
You know what? Maybe I'm just vanilla. Call me vanilla. You know what? You can shit on me for this.
Yeah, that's what I would call you.
Whisper Vibe by Beleza is $79. Right now, the Lilo Mona 2 is on sale for $99, right?
Yeah, I just went on their website. This is recorded a few weeks after the episode's released, so don't quote us on this. But right now it's on sale for $99, so it's actually not far off from that Beleza price point if you want to check out the actual Lilo Mona 2 again.
Yeah, they're both branded as Whisper Quiet, so if that's important to you.
Sweet.
Cool.
All right, next question. Tried getting an IUD put in and ran out crying in a panic. Later find out there's numbing gel. Numbing gel? Why is getting... Hold on,
it says, why is getting IUDs so painful, scary, no drugs offered? Had to ask, even then it wasn't enough. I felt sober. What the fuck? Sorry, I just took over for that.
I was reading that like an old Reddit thread. I was like, why is getting IUD so painful? Okay.
No, literally, I need that on a t-shirt.
It's not funny.
No, it's not funny. I need that on a fucking t-shirt. Why is getting IUD so painful? I'm done with it.
It's actually wild. And you know what? I'm a great example. I refuse to ever get one because I've heard horror stories and I'm not equipped for that. I do know some people that are like really great self-advocates in the healthcare space that have gotten local anesthetic for it. I would say numbing gel is not going to do enough even for the pain experience during an IUD, and we actually just need an anesthetic option. And there are some physicians that deliver it, but it's not known. It's like they don't want us to ask about it. It's not widespread yet, and it's not even approved because the pain is just like written off. So the answer to your question is, why isn't getting an IUD so painful, scary, no drugs offered? I have no fucking idea, but it's probably because this country doesn't care about women's health.
And that's fucking that. And we're pissed about it. We actually just did an in-service So in our clinic, every month we do a in-service. So one of our PTs will do like a presentation. Maybe all of us will do a little mini presentation. But this week it was on hormonal. Well, it was on not just hormonal birth control. It was on birth control and menstrual cycle phases. So we talked about all of the birth control options and like reviewed them. And we had a long discussion on IUDs and how terribly painful they can be for people. One PT said the only people that I have heard say IUDs are not painful are my mom's postpartum after they've given birth and they've experienced birth. But I think no matter what, like you're valid in thinking that this is a terrible thing that you have to go through. I mean, even like getting a colposcopy and like things like that are just terrible. Like they're not comfortable experiences. I've never had an IUD. I know that like what Amanda said, and one of our PTs did mention this too in the clinic yesterday and said that they had some patients that asked for anesthesia and did get it. But I think that is physician dependent and you're not always going to be able to do that. But I mean, it's good to, if I was to get an IUD, I would 100% be like, I need anesthesia or something, or this is not happening. But for me, even like, I've seen patients after getting an IUD that they have these new pelvic floor pain symptoms that come on and they start tying it back to the same time that they got their IUD. And like, even though they got past the initial like insertion of the IUD, they're having these symptoms afterwards, which we can't correlate and say like your IUD caused this, but it's happened often enough now that it kind of puts a fear into my head that there could be some correlation, but I don't know. What do you have to say to that?
It sucks. Like all of it sucks because birth control is life-saving care for many people and it's essential care and it's not something we want to be scared of getting. We should have more research around it. We should have better ways to insert it. IUDs are an amazing invention and they're helping so many people. And now so many women are like experiencing fear around getting them because they hear these horror stories because they're real. These horror stories are real. So it's just, and it's re-emphasizing like we need to put more focus on this. And if this was a cis male issue, it would have probably already had 16 solutions by now.
Yeah, they'd be under in a second. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. I was doom scrolling on Instagram recently because I deleted TikTok for a second because I needed a break because I was doom scrolling so much. But then I doom scrolled on Instagram, so it didn't really help me in this scenario. But I came across this video where a woman was filming herself getting an IUD and she brought her partner with her. And it was a male partner who they're not typically used to these kind of treatments in healthcare. So they were dumbfounded by the whole situation, but it was her recording her face reaction to getting an IUD. And it was truly like horrifying to watch. And I felt so bad for this person because I know exactly how that feels going through a gynecological procedure like that. It's scary and it's uncomfortable for a lot of people, but she literally is filming her eyes and she's just like tearing up the whole time. Like, and the doctor's just consistently asking, like, are you okay? Are you doing okay? Take a deep breath. Just a cramp. It's just a quick cramp. Just a quick pinch. And she's just like, I'm okay. But like tears flooding her eyes. And I'm like, this is awful. But I don't know. It's tough for me to say. Yeah. I do think we need IUDs. I think they're great, but I think we need to figure something out that's more comfortable for the patient. At the end of the day, patient comfort and patient care is the number one thing. So like, why are we consistently doing this when we know it's going to be an awful experience for the patient? And this is, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. I'm with you.
We can move on. We'll get off
for now.
All in all, I think IUDs are great, but we need to figure something out.
Yeah. It needs some work.
We'll quickly read this. It says, we got a quick question that just said, why are men? Do you have an answer, Amanda?
If I had an answer, no. My advice is to just get rid of them.
Your advice is just no.
My advice is like, I don't know, be a little more gay.
Okay. Ready? I'll read the next question.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on. It's not really presented in a question, so I have to.
Yeah, just read it
Okay.
as it
I'm just going to
is.
read it as is. I'm not going to try to ad lib here. I'm not an English major. Ready? Liking people I'm not attracted to and trying to convince myself I am. My body shuts down during sex.
Ooh, it's an obvious answer with a harder solution, right? Because you might know what you need to be doing, which is sleeping with people you're actually attracted to. But this sounds like there's probably more of like a therapeutic component where maybe it's like a person that is a pattern for you that you want to that you like want to do better for yourself, but maybe you're like falling into a pattern. So my head goes to mental health therapy is going to help the most with this.
Some type of sex therapy as well. But it makes sense your body shutting down during sex and not wanting to experience pleasure with someone you're not attracted to, or maybe you are attracted to them, but the way they treat you is not great. So then in deep down, I don't know, you're kind of like tricked into being attracted to them, but your body does not want to experience this moment with them. That's how I interpret this.
They should listen to our episode. Do I like what's it called? The one that's like, do I not like my partner or something?
Yeah, that could be a good episode. I can actually find that really quick right now. Another one I'm thinking of is being a people pleaser is ruining your sex life,
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one to listen
which
to.
was a
I
good
feel like
episode.
everyone should listen to that.
The other episode that Amanda is talking about is it's called Pain with Sex. Is it your pelvic floor or your partner? So I would listen to that episode, even if you're not having pain, just body shutting down during sex. Is it your pelvic floor or your partner? You decide.
Yeah, you decide.
If you do like podcasts, you like our podcast. I do like, if you ever heard of Sex with Emily's podcast, she is a great sex therapist podcast that I listened to even before I became a pelvic floor PT. Is one of the people that inspired me to talk more openly about sex. So I will listen to her podcast, and I'm sure she has plenty of episodes as well.
Sweet.
Cool. Do you want
Right.
to read the last question, Amanda?
Last question. I listened to your scar tissue episode recently, and you guys were talking about perineal tears. How does this not ruin your vagina? I'm so scared to give birth. LOL.
Yeah.
Good question.
Very good question. This is honestly one of the reasons I went into becoming a pelvic floor PT, because I was so terrified of the idea of giving birth and what it would do to me. So I was like, why don't I just go into a field where I can learn everything there is to learn about your vagina? So here I am now. But
I don't know.
all in all, this doesn't ruin your vagina. Your body, well, how do I say this? Your body is made to be able to deliver a baby. Your vagina can stretch, right? So tearing is very, very common. You can do perineal massage, perineal stretching before labor and delivery prep, so before you give birth. And studies do show that doing perineal massage before can help reduce the risk of tearing by 1 degree. So that's one thing you can do for peace of mind going into labor and delivery, is that you're doing something actively to help prevent and reduce the risk of tearing. On top of that, birthing positions, using the right position for you, practicing how to properly push and lengthen and relax your pelvic floor. These are all going to be things that help reduce the risk of tearing. I have many patients before that have experienced no tears, or maybe like a very, very minimal tear. So it's definitely possible. It really depends on your body and your anatomy and then your birth experience as well. But go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I just want to throw out there the concept of it like ruining your vagina. Think about any other muscle, right? If you tear a muscle in your shoulder and you rehab that and you go back to playing your sport, like, do you consider that shoulder ruined? So also let's like talk about the stigma around why it's the vagina specifically that we think gets ruined by this. So that's something we all have to unlearn, because we're told that like, oh, because it's probably coming from a place of like, oh, if you're a little more loose, you're like, sex isn't going to be as good with you, or like, how is this going to ruin my sex life? How is this going to ruin the way my partner thinks about me? Like, it could be coming from that people pleaser mindset too, rather than like the actual science of like, oh, something happened to a muscle, we rehab that and it gets better and it's back.
So good. So well said. Jesus, I love when you do that. God, I
Wow.
can't wait to clip that and put that on Instagram.
You
So
definitely know me.
Or I can't wait for you to clip that and put that on Instagram. Let's be honest. No, I would say all in all, if you are super nervous about it, there's things to do to help prepare and to help reduce the risk of tearing. Just like if you were running a marathon, if you were to not prepare for it and you were just run a marathon, you're going to get injured. You could, quote unquote, ruin your hip. I don't know. But you're going to train and you're going to get prepared for it so that doesn't happen. You're going to be sore after you run your marathon, but then you're going to, I don't know, maybe you did get an injury from running a marathon. You're going to go to PT. We're going to rehab it. Then you're going to be feeling functional and normal just like you did before you ran your marathon. Similar to giving birth, not to like make it the same thing and downgrade how intense a birthing experience can be, but just to give a metaphor, I guess. But
no, that's actually like a really common one, and it's a good one because most marathoners end up with an injury at some point, and someone training for their marathon. So it's just an example of like, you can train and train and train, and it doesn't actually prevent these things from happening. How we respond to them and adapt to them is how we recover, right? So even if you are an experienced marathoner, you can still get a stress injury while you're training. Even if you do perineal massage, you might have a perineal tear, but that doesn't mean you didn't do it right. That just means we have to rehab that.
yeah. And if you do have a perineal tear, very common, you'll have some scar tissue, but honestly, like I say this all the time, you can have scar tissue from a perineal tear, but more often than not, when it is a smaller perineal tear, 1st degree, 2nd degree, maybe even 3rd degree sometimes, it's the dysfunction you have in your pelvic floor afterwards is more so from overall pelvic floor tension and tightness, not as much from the birth experience, but maybe just being pregnant for those 9 months and the pelvic floor being in this constant state of tension. Although the scar tissue does play a component, but pelvic floor PT will help. Yeah.
Great.
I get passionate about about perineal tears because it's something that I was super scared of too. But then it's really not, it's something that we can really help you with in pelvic floor PT. Mm-hmm. So the most time I see it being like a big role in dysfunction is if it's a grade 4 tear, and that takes a little bit more work, but it's still something that we can help you with. So don't be scared of perineal tearing. We've got you. Okay. Mm-hmm. Guys, that was our last question that we have time for today. Obviously, we'll have more Q&As because we know that you guys really like these episodes. But we have some really cool, exciting guests coming up before we do another story time or Q&A that you guys are going to love. And we already gave you a little sneak peek. We already gave you a little sneak peek into who we're having up next. So we have more than that.
Yeah, guys. And make sure you're following us on social media at The Pelvic Freak Show, because when we do these episodes, we will poll you for questions, and we pull them straight from our DMs and just like anywhere you can message us. So make sure you're following us so you don't miss them, so that if you want us to talk about something specific, it's right there for you.
Okay, guys. Amanda has to go camping now. She has to go do camp activities.
I have to be a camper now.
She has to go be a camp leader. What are they called? What's a camp leader called? Counselor. Camp counselor.
I'm going to be a camp counselor.
She's got to go fulfill her camp counselor duties now.
We're calling it the Smut Conference in the Woods, if that gives anyone context.
Jeez, that sounds something like the freaks on here would like.
That's the freaks would love it.
The freaks would love it. I am going to go to the Lincoln Park or Lincoln Square Apple Fest today and then make something apple.
Oh my God, take pictures for me. I love that fest.
They have a lot of Apple stuff. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I have so much fun.
I will.
All right.
Guys, we love you.
We love you. Bye, Pelvic Freaks.
Bye, Pelvic Freaks. Have we ever told them we love them?
Well, if we haven't, we're sorry we haven't told you, but we love you.
We love you, Pelvic Freaks. Wow. What a big moment we just shared together.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Pelvic Freaks.
Bye.